Back at the beginning of this series, I pointed out to you that Gmail isn't just the mail section. You actually have contacts and tasks built right into the same exact user interface. But I'm going to jump into contacts now to just show you how to quickly add a contact if you so desire. And this is the same place that we're going to add groups here in just a little bit, but automatically your Google Circles information shows up in here, and you may or may not become a Google Plus or Google Circles user, but at any given time you can certainly jump in there and start utilizing these circles from Google Plus within your contacts. But to add a new contact, you hit the giant orangish red button over here and you add a new contact, add their name, so John Doe here, and you can add in all the stereotypical information, email stuff, work phone numbers, addresses. You can even add notes about people. I really like this person. Or he works at so and so. He helped me out this one time. Whatever you want to add in there, you certainly can. You can even add fields from down here. If there's something up here that you don't like or something you want to change, you can hit add and you can put in your relationship with them, the birthday of that person, notes about them, files. So there's tons of information that you can put in there about that individual. And you can also click on each one of these individual pieces and actually change or alter them because maybe they don't have a mobile number, or maybe you want to call it a cell phone instead of a mobile. Maybe you're not from Europe and you're from the United States and you'd prefer to call it a cell. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You can change things almost at will. The one thing that you should understand here is that you can add a picture of the person. However, if they're a Gmail user as well and they have updated their contact information, put their own profile picture in, their profile picture will show up for you when they email you. So as people begin to add themselves to your contacts list as you email them back, if they're Gmail users, their photos will add themselves. But you can certainly override those photos by adding your own picture of them if you've got a hilarious one or one that you really would like to put in there to remind you of who they truly are. That's a better representation of them. That's the nuts and bolts of how this all works. Just realize you can click on veritably anything, job titles, my contact information, their name up here. You can change just about anything. So I'll get out of here. I'm actually, well, you know what? It was automatically saved up here in true Google fashion. Everything saves itself. So in almost every facet, you hardly ever have to save. There's a few places that you do, but this one's saved all by itself. So I automatically have John Doe saved in my contacts. You can see I now have one contact. So if I come over here, I have John Doe. So now, if John Doe had an email associated with him, if I went back to mail and I started typing in the address, he would automatically show up as an option to choose from. Select him, email him, all said, all done. There's actually even an easier way to add contacts, and hopefully you remember from one of the previous videos that if you are in mail, if you access someone's email, like you see the one from myself to myself here, it says add me as a contact, please. Well, if I reply to that person like this, and now that email is built in there, and I type this in, this is a response. There we go. And I send it off. It should add that person to my contacts automatically. Let's go in here and find out. Go to contacts. Counterintuitively, they're not in the My Contacts section. Rather, they're down here. If you float down, you see your most contacted and your other contacts right here, right? And so from within there, that's where you're going to see the people that you've already emailed. So I can see that I've emailed myself at my WLC and at my Gmail account before. And so they're automatically in my contacts. They're not in my contacts. I can move them there, however, by checking off on them like so. And now I can actually add them to my contacts. I click on that button right there, and I should have 3 contacts in my contacts now. Lo and behold, there they all are. 1 John Doe and 2 Joe DeForest. The final bit that I want to go over here is down the little map right here of content. Like I said, there's the circles pieces. Here's that most contacted. Here's the other contacts. Then you have a directory. Directories are what are associated with a wholesale account, whether it's a business or a school in most cases. If you're watching this video, schools are going to have entire directories of all the faculty members, all the schools and how they're set up, the different school buildings, the students perhaps, age levels, the grade levels, and different groups or houses that may be set up. And this directory would then house all of those people. And so you could come in here and pick from all of the people, the thousands of people potentially that are in that directory of individuals within the contacts. You can also decide to import contacts or create groups, but those are both in the next videos. So for now, this is the basics of how to handle and manage and use contacts. I suppose I should show you one final thing. If somebody really gets on your nerves, you can certainly put a check mark next to their name. Come up here to the More section, and you can delete them. Or you can import, export, restore, or change it to their first or just their last name. And finally, you can decide to email the person straight from contacts. If I hit email, it's just going to open up that email dialog and let me compose an email straight from there. It's a very handy tool, but that's the end of adding and managing single contacts. This last section of this video is actually going to cover handling groups and import exports within contacts. So we've already created contacts. We've already managed some of the contacts, moved them around, and juggled them, and added deleted information. But now we're actually going to create groups. If you want to create a brand new group, you have to go down here and expand this panel down here at the bottom and hit New Group. And you can name the group right away and say this is, let's say 4th grade homeroom or something like that. So there's the name of my group. I hit OK, and it just created a 4th grade homeroom group. And I don't see it in the middle right here because I'm not actually looking at my groups presently, which is a little bit complicated. But now if you look over here on the left-hand side, I have my contacts, and under contacts, I actually have 4th grade homeroom group. So if I click on the group, now you're going to see I have nobody in this group. That makes a lot more sense. This is just a blank group. It's almost like a folder in some respects. Under your contacts, you have groups. And so this group has absolutely no people in it. I can certainly add people with this little button up here, the dude with the plus next to him. If I click on that, I can start typing in people's names like this, do4. There we go. I can add myself, add, and he should be added to that group. There we go. And now if I want to add the other do4, com at Gmail, and type in just a full string of the email and just add it manually to this group. That works as well. I can type in just about any email that I want and add it to this group. So this group now has 2 people in it, but I can also add people to a group in a different way. If I come up to my contacts up here, if I want to add any of these individuals to a group, all I have to do is put a check mark next to their name, and I can pick this group icon up here that looks a little bit more like a paw print than it does a group, but it's for groups. If you hover over it, it even says so. I can decide to put this into my contacts group, or they might be part of the 4th grade homeroom group. And now they're part of both my contacts and 4th grade homeroom. I'm going to apply this. And so John Doe is actually in my contacts, but he's also in my group here. Now this looks a little bit confusing because all of the people are in both of the groups, but I assure you I can actually even remove everyone out of my contacts if I wanted to. I can put a check mark next to do4com at Gmail right here, go up to groups. This works a lot like labels did when we were talking about labels earlier. I can uncheck contacts and hit apply. And now it looks like I only have 2 people in my contacts, when in actuality, I have more than that because inside of groups, inside of this group, I have 3 people. So you can see how these are like subfolders of one another, but my recommendation would be to leave everyone in contacts and then just subdivide people out into groups. But again, this gives you the leverage to be able to have one person in multiple groups, which is extremely nice. You can see that this person right here, if you look over here on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see who is in what groups, which is extremely nice. You can see these 3 people are in 4th grade, only these 2 are in my contacts. That's basically how you can create and manage groups easily. And the really wonderful part about creating groups is this. Now when I come back to my mail and I begin to compose an email to someone, I can actually type in 4th, and look at this. 4th grade homeroom shows up, and if I click on it, everyone's email that has an email, John Doe doesn't have one, so it doesn't put it in here, but everyone from that group automatically populates in that to list, which is magnificent. If you don't want them to each see each other, you would put them in a blind copy group instead, but regardless, you get the idea. Now I close out of this, and I'm going to go back to contacts one last time here to show you how to import and export groups from other places, other directories if you will. And so to do that, you come right down to the very bottom down here, and you would say import contacts. If you click on that, you can import contacts. It even says right here from Outlook, Yahoo, Hotmail, and there's a whole slew of other places. And you can even click on this Learn More button to see the specialized way for each of these different email companies and how they export their material. But typically, you export it as a CSV, which is just another form of an Excel file. But all you really need to do is check on this Learn More button right here. It will take you to a web page that will kind of explain to you how to export items from these other email clients. You export that list as a CSV file, and then you go and you browse for it just like this, like you would attach something. You find the file, you click on it, and then you hit import. And next thing you know, you have all of the contacts that you had in your other email client imported into Gmail. It works slick as a whistle, and it's seamless, and it's extremely, well, not completely, but almost effortless.